The spotlight's about to shine. The stage will be mine. My song is with you. Ooh, we really harmonize.
Hello ZZZ proxies, it's your boy Josh, and welcome to your early access for Astra Yao as we uncover a few hidden truths about the newest 1.5 limited character, as well as compare her with many popular and fun niche teams to see how she stacks up as our first premier Ether support unit. Before we do anything, if you guys didn't know, I stream live on Twitch. If you guys have any questions, feel free to head over there for any extra info past this video. We must put a disclaimer that the footage here in this video is coming from the Creative Access server. And thank y'all again for the opportunity to come back to serve y'all up this early access content as we take our very first dive into the diva of ZZZ 0. The breakdown of this early showcase will be as follows. Please use the timestamps if you're a bit more curious on a certain segment or you're just coming back again to review the content. And of course, make sure to hit the subscribe button right now. And let's get right into the video, starting with Astra Yao's kit. I'll be honest, there's mainly one big gimmick to Astra Yao that could make her a bit bland of a character for some, but extremely potent as one of our premier supporters of the game. The special skill, Wind Chimes and Oaths, is the regular skill that you will access to transition yourself into what is known as the idyllic cadenza state. Within this state, this is where Astra Yao channels her biggest three buffs, one being a potential 1200 attack buff from the core, as well as a 20% damage buff and 25% crit damage buff through the special skill alone. We'll talk about investments in a bit, but make sure to remember the core and special skills when leveling her up. Back to the gameplay portion of her kit, and you'll notice that when Astra takes the field and uses her special, her stacks under the health bar will light up, indicating she is in the channeled state of the idyllic cadenza. When not, she is able to freely move around the battlefield. The stacks mentioned just now are called Tremolo. One stack corresponds to 25 energy of your special bar, and she'll consume them during quick assists of the following teammates, as well as when she exits idyllic cadenza state to attack with tone clusters, this counting as EX special damage. Now, these tone clusters initially are not that big up front, but they can rack up some pretty interesting damage and have other uses down the road. But as far as we'll need to learn for Astra Yao's gameplay, let's move back into her singing. The idyllic cadenza is a state in which you can quick swap between your two other characters. That's right, an insane ability that allows you to swap into the assist skills of your other teammates. And not only that, this will allow you to further attack from Astra Yao in the form of tone clusters, and more importantly, help proc the very convenient drive disc set Astral Voice, which can give you a 24% damage bonus after 3 quick assists. So how do you know when it's time to quick assist? Well, for most support characters, you're prompted by a nice flashing sign on the bottom right. Now, that regular yellow bar is changed for a fun purple light up circle, and once you swap, Astra can sometimes be heard singing her favorite tunes, especially during moments when you proc Tremolo during the quick assist to follow her to attack with tone clusters. What's so cool is that there are several ways to help initiate the quick swap. Firstly, when your on-field character hits an enemy once per 3 seconds, or when you utilize a heavy attack. This mostly can denote specials, charge attacks, or even chains, which can be helpful to control the tides of battle. Not only that, when you regular assist or swap into Astra Yao, she'll automatically initiate the regular special attack, Wind Chimes and Oaths, which can be followed by another quick assist back into your next character. She's the definition of a quick swap comp in ZZZ 0, and we've never been able to rotate between our units this seamlessly. Later down the road when we test out teams, I'll be honest, it's been extremely fun to play this character because at the speed at which you play. But that was a ton of talking. TLDR, you press your special skill and you go into your regular attack rotations. When prompted, perform the precise assist, going into your next character to proc an astronomical quick assist to help build up more damage, decibels, and other buffs for your team. There are a few more nuances with their attack patterns, potential playstyles, and such in the later comparison breakdown. Lastly, the ultimate. This whole time we've been talking about her special skill. Well, there's an extra neat feature with her ultimate, and I don't mean the healing that most of you have heard of already. Yes, the ultimate attack, Fantasian Sonata, can heal. However, what's more interesting to me is that there is a follow-up ability. Astra, After using the skill, will enter back into Idyllic Cadenza. When you follow up with any 2 quick assists, those 2 will be replaced. Yes, replaced with chain attacks of the character. This will bring in some very fun shenanigans when it comes to maintaining DPS pressure and flow of certain character kits around Astra Yao. She really does make people sway to her beats. There. But now we shall move on to... Let's get into how to build Astra Yao, and it's clear as day and how the Idyllic Cadenza provides these new precise quick assists for your character. You'll want to provide Astra Yao with the ever popular Astra Voice set. This set, when initially introduced, could only be used by potential double assist comps with the back assisting Seth or a double support comp. Now, we can move all that into one character as Astra Yao provides insane buffs just on her own and opens up that extra slot for a stunner or even anomaly sub DPS. But before we continue on to the build, make sure you guys like the video and consider sharing this to spread the word of Astra Yao. The more support that we can get on these early access videos, the more I can come back to give you guys the best and earliest scoops. The 4 set will be taken up by Astra Voice, and the 2 slot will most likely go to Swing Jazz. Even though that's not her genre, the Jazz set providing her with 20% energy recharge will be vital in maintaining relative refreshes of the tremolo in order to provide your characters with a bit of extra ether output. Let's move into main stats, as with the most quintessential build of Astra Yao, including her signature, will be with running energy regen in the 6th slot, attack percent in 5 and 4 slots respective. The biggest threshold you'll want to hit is a very specific 3,428 attack, which corresponds to the 1,200 attack buff, in which only 35% of Astra Yao's initial attack can be attributed. Make sure that she's able to get to this amount or something close to it with the max core as your priority in skill investment. This is where your main attack buff stems from, and from there you can prioritize your special, which will give you the scaling for the 20% max damage buff NM0 alongside the 25% crit damage. As mentioned earlier, this main build is constructed around Astra's signature, the Elegant Vanity, a W engine that doubles as Astra Yao's makeup burst. This option gives you an insane 713 base attack with 30% substat at overclock 0. Whenever you assist, chain, defensive assist, or evasive assist, this will give the user 5 energy every 5 seconds, which generally times well with the pace of how you should be quick assisting. When the user consumes 25 energy, you can increase team-wide damage by 10%, stacking up to 2 times. Yes, this means an additional 20% damage buff alongside the special skill. Yet, only one can exist at a time, so no double supports. Other builds can include Weeping Cradle, which can provide energy regen and a small damage bonus to your teammates. With this weapon, you will prioritize attack substats, and if you cannot manage to get the 3,400 threshold, you might need to go triple attack. This line of reasoning can be followed with all of the other A tier and F2P options. You'll want to prioritize that specific attack threshold. But outside of that, there's little to no other investment needed for Astra Yao, with the exception of Anomaly, but we'll mention that in the performance comparisons. For now, let's move into her. Let's start off by showing the power of Astra Yao while going through the bits and nuances of the Beauty Queen. Astra Yao will most likely start off your battle by jumping straight into the Idyllic Cadenza state. Press the special skill to channel the state, by which you'll automatically gain your buffs up front, with the exception of the Astra Voice. Rotate between your characters naturally, and don't overcommit to the quick assists. Even though they may be flashy and shiny, you'll still want to ramp up naturally with your DPS or stunners. But the great thing about quick swapping, especially with the signature weapon, is that you'll gain the extra energy to build up Tremolo. Once unleashing the Tremolo again counts as your EX special and consumes the perfect 25 energy required for the weapon damage increase, alongside the precise assists that you'll be stacking up for the Astra Voice damage percent increase. The way the weapon and drive disc integrate into the kit is absolutely scary. And don't forget that you can swap into Astra Yao every other rotation in order to launch the special skill back into another quick swap. Knowing this information, let's take some example teams. Firstly, I have Lycon, Miyabi, Astra Yao. Of course, you can switch in the Yanagis of the world, but check it. You start off with Astra Yao skill, quick swap into Lycon, you hold down charge E to get your stun going, and immediately quick swap into your full Miyabi attack rotation. This is already 2 stacks of your Astra Voice and almost to your first Tremolo for the first 3 cluster hit. You can then start to hit your enemies with your hardest hitting rotation, as you'll have ramped up to max potential damage after the first 9 to 12 seconds of the fight, which by other character standards is about the same but with way less buffs. Then once Astra Yao is ready to ult, which, unless you're fighting Deadly Assault, your enemies should be unalived, but let's say they are alive. Using the ultimate Fantasian Sonata will grant you a massive Ether Blast, 1 nice heal to your team, and 2 quick assists that are replaced with chain attacks, which for some select characters could mean extra DPS shenanigans. I love this portion of the ability. Let's start getting into team variations that come out as clear winners. Firstly, we gotta mention the Miyabi variations. These teams are now lethal, with a support that can keep up with Miyabi speed and actually will benefit you when swapping to your other characters. Before, it's well documented that anytime you switch off of Miyabi, it's a DPS loss for your overall run. Well, not so much with Astra Yao, as she'll make use of that time to allow your secondary teammate to shine and bring back buffs around to the Void Hunter. Other DPS variations can be shown here, as Astra Yao's core passive will function with both attackers and anomaly. This is just the tip of the iceberg, as Miyabi is not the only beneficiary of Astra Yao's soothing voice. And as I say, allow me to cook. And as I'm cooking, if you're enjoying the guide, please make sure to hit the like button and comment below if you're finding this helpful. I personally love teams that crit to make use of the full buffs. So the Ellen Joes, Juyens, Jane Does, Pipers, Soldiers, and Harmasas of the world are first on the call list. However, the attack and damage buffs overall are just so universal, characters like Yanagi and Bernice will still be able to benefit drastically. The biggest gainers are not only those that can utilize every portion of the buffs, but allow for follow-up abilities as well. Remember how we mentioned that she has the ability to alter the quick attacks into chains? Well, for Jia mains, this means an extra 3 shot shells to your rotation. For Jane Doe mains, a refresh back into full passion. For Haramasa, 6 extra electro quivers, and for Bernice, an immediate follow-up with double shot EX special. This ultimate is not just a bailout of heals, it can be used to bring out a whole new window of damage that we've never had before. I could talk teams all day, but I think I'm going to save that for another specific video, talking about the minutia of team rotations. For this first look, let's keep it professional and move into investments and comparisons. This is where your waiting pays off, folks. Remember how I said, and I mentioned earlier, that there was the extra tremolo and how those little clutters that Astra Yao dishes every now and then could come in handy? Well, look no further than Astra Yao's first Mindscape, the 12-tone equal temperament. When Astra Yao's attacks hit an enemy, their all attribute resistance is reduced by 6%, stacking up to 3 times, lasting for 30 seconds, a total of 18% res down. She also gains 1000 decibels at the start of battle, allowing her to get into ultimates easier. And what's this ability? The Song of Protection, a stack that gives invincibility for any one hit for 60 seconds. This Mindscape is pretty busted, and paired with the Tremolo stacks, you'll be able to proc every 10 to 20 seconds. This will almost have a 100% uptime in resistance down. A very welcomed addition if you're planning to further your investment into the superstar. Mindscape 2 is a potency increase to the attack buff by an additional 19%, but only for 400 points. Doing the math, you'll want 54% of your attack to equate to 1600 attack bonus. This means you'll want at minimum 2962 initial attack for the max. And instead of launching 1 extra tremolo with additional core passive, you will launch 3 total. Yes, 3. This perfectly lines up with your M1 passive. And with less attack necessary, this could allow you to run some other shenanigans surrounding Anomaly instead of attacks on 4 or energy on 6, which could mean a slightly harder hitting corruption. The wombo combo of both the Mindscapes here are astounding, and how it changes the geometry of how Astra Yao builds and how she outputs. Moving into M4, you can trigger quick assists even without chord stacks. But when quick assisting, you can give an additional buff specific to the type of character you're following up with. Attackers will get an additional damage bump. Anomalies will get 50% increased anomaly buildup. Stuns will get 50% days increase. This further incentivizes you to actually swap naturally into Astra Yao versus just sticking with your other units. And at M6, the damage of the tremolo will gain by hundreds of percent and grant an 80% crit rate up for the clusters. Let's start to reference Astra Yao in comparison to her peers, as we're wrapping up with almost everything that Astra Yao herself has to offer. Comparatively with other supports and their best builds, Astra Yao does come out on top with how many extra buffs she gains with her signature and synergy with the Astra Voice drive disc set. which already is a 60% increase to potency from 15 to 24% damage increase. Where Astra Yao comes in handy is with her quite universal damage bonuses. She can fit in almost anywhere a support is welcome, meaning that if you don't have one of the supports mentioned above or not at the level of investment to make them usable, why not slide in Astra Yao to supplement the damage of that particular team? She'll be an invaluable unit that can provide us with some of the best buffs we've seen in the game for a while, alongside a playstyle that prompts speed within your rotations. And you've got a support unit that everyone, including you, want to pick up. And thanks for watching our early access guide. It's because of the amazing community that I'm able to bring you guys this invaluable information. If there are any changes to the kit before the live beta, I'll make a note of them in my full guide breakdown video, with inclusions of W engine comparisons, which was not included in this video. But rest assured, there will be much more coverage on Astra Yao in the week leading up to our release. So make sure to subscribe again for content, community giveaways, and supporting our dream of becoming the next big ZZZ 0 channel. Thank you so much. My name is Josh, and it's time to call the curtains and take a bow. Click on this next video because YouTube thinks you'll like it. We'll see you in the next one.